Welcome back. You're with Najma Kota on Mid Morning Talk in this special Ramadan edition. We've just switched around a bit in terms of our guests and their time. Normally, at this time, we have the Ashara Mubashara segment. So we've moved it a little later to around 12:30. And then remember to stay with us for the competition. You stand a chance to win 1,000 rands. So more about that a little later. Right now, we have with us Brother Khalid Vawda, who is a lifelong activist for Palestine, the cause of Islam and Muslims. So, in this segment, where we specifically highlight the resilience of the Palestinians, and of course, in South Africa, March is Human Rights Month. And we just commemorated or observed Human Rights Day a few days ago in South Africa. So I take pleasure in welcoming our very special guest, Brother Khalid Vawda. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Jazakallah khair for having me.
Right, Khalid. Last week we spoke to someone about social intifada. Now, we covered some of it and how effective it is. And we find that perhaps not all of us know how to use it. We're just expressing ourselves because we don't know what else to do in this hopeless, helpless state that we find ourselves in. But so if we talk about it, can you explain to us what is the focus of this digital activism?
So, as the viewers are well aware, this current, I don't want to call it a conflict because it's worse than that. It's a genocide. This one's been different to the others in terms of media coverage because previously the news that we were getting was all filtered through mainstream media, which we know goes through its channels, and it's highly sanitized and controlled to spin a specific narrative that's in favor of the Zionist occupation. This time around, however, we found that with the multiple individuals on the ground who were reporting from their cell phones, people became reporters literally overnight. Some were just photojournalists, and they started reporting on what they were seeing and the horrors that were being carried out by Israel in Palestine on the ground. This transformed the global opinion and the global view on what's going on in Palestine, because for the first time, and it's sad to say, the genocide was basically live streamed to the world audience. So people were getting the information, and now they're looking at their phones and they're seeing dismembered children, and they're seeing homes being bombed, and they're seeing mosques and churches and hospitals being occupied and destroyed. But in the mainstream media, the narrative's completely different. And people are not idiots, as authorities would like us to believe. And people are now starting to shift their source of news from mainstream media to social media accounts, especially the prominent accounts that have been reporting daily. So the focus has changed. Global opinion is starting to shift, especially among the younger generations. So Gen Z, especially in Western countries, which are predominantly pro-Israel and strong supporters and allies of Israel, opinions among the youth there have started to shift quite dramatically. Whether it's in the US, whether it's in the UK, or various countries in Europe as well. So this kind of you can call it a digital revolution, because this particular genocide, this particular invasion has managed to now turn the tables, and mainstream media, in my view, has lost the grip on public opinion to social media.
So, what stands out for me as you described the people just becoming, journalists by finding themselves just posting what they were seeing, right? Now, we know that in the heart of the genocide, the fear of being targeted, and we know journalists were murdered and killed. Anyone that reports against the Israeli army or the IDF, as it were. So, the risk, what do you think the risk is for those people that are as active as you are on social media? What are the risks you are taking here, if any?
The risks that we take outside of Gaza is absolutely nothing to the risks that people take for filtering out
Indeed.
news in occupied Palestine, whether it's Gaza or the West Bank. They're literally facing, their lives are in danger. So we
Right.
know that many of the prominent reporters on the ground, we're all familiar with Motaz Azeza as well, some of the others, they received phone calls telling them to stop reporting
Right.
or else is the threat, you know.
Sure.
We know people living in the West Bank, we know people living in Al Quds as well, who we spoke to via, you know, via WhatsApp maybe, and they couldn't come out and speak about anything on a public level. If we perhaps invited them to a talk to address an audience here in South Africa, they couldn't do that because literally the same day the occupation would be onto them and then place them under extreme difficulty, either arresting them, they would disappear. You don't know, you know, how long. They arrest you under administrative detention, and then the next thing you know, 10 years are gone. So the dangers they face on the ground, they are far, far, far worse than the activists around the world. I mean, for us, the worst thing that happens or could happen is that our account gets banned. It's happened to a few people. Posts get taken down. Your account becomes curtailed. You receive warnings on your account. You've got to start up all over again. In the case of some massive social media accounts. You're probably familiar with the human rights activist in the US whose account was shut down, Sean King. He had well over 5 million followers.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd been doing lots of work for the BLM movement over the years. In fact, he was quite close to the staff at Meta. That's the holding company for Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp. And he'd done talks. He would test products out for them. In December, literally overnight, they just told him your account's being cancelled. So they shut his account down entirely. So those are the dangers we face. It's minuscule compared to what people are
Yeah.
facing in occupied Palestine.
Indeed. Now, there's another thing about digital activism, if you like. There's also the risk of false information. Now, someone pushing their own agenda could put anything into your, your social media platforms or wherever it is that you are expressing yourself. That's another thing. I don't think we have an answer for that. But how does that get filtered, if at all?
So there are social media doesn't have it has its shortcomings, and we need to be honest and open about that. You can have people just forwarding on information without verifying stuff, maybe out of emotion or being ill-informed, and then you've got disinformation taking place, and we've seen this happen with Israel as well, where posts have been put out and then later deleted. Fortunately, these things do get picked up on, so the evidence is there. We also seen disinformation by way of them putting out information which claims to follow a certain narrative. So, for example, when they were storming the Shifa hospital previously, not this time around, there was a video circulating of an alleged nurse who was running for her life in the hospital, claiming that Hamas were in the building, and she was fearing her life because they were taking all the equipment, etc., etc. Later on, it was found that she's an Israeli actress. So this got exposed quite quickly on social media.
Mm-hmm.
The media companies, the major media companies, are realizing that there's a massive demographic that needs to be addressed via social media. So they're putting out information and they're putting out content on social media as well. The challenge, which in fact we spoke about at a seminar in Cape Town on Sunday, the challenge in my view for mainstream media right now is to remain relevant, because the younger generation, almost all of them get their news from either Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, any one of those channels. And the older generation we're finding are still getting their news from mainstream media. So the other thing to bear in mind as well is if you've got resources and deep pockets on social media, you can obviously spend loads of money on adverts. And Israel's been doing that as well. They spend couple of $1 million on Google ads and YouTube ads. So they can position adverts in certain spaces. You can buy prime space if you've got that type of money. So the content creators that are working for Palestine are not people with deep pockets. They're ordinary everyday workers, and some of them are purely content creators. That's what they've been doing for a while. So they don't have the financial resources as states like Israel do.
Mm-hmm. So I just want to move a little bit away from the Palestinian issue and move to, for example, India and what we're seeing unfold there. against the Muslims. That also, how vibrant is that activism on media, on social media?
Here again, it's a similar trajectory because the objectives of the Indian regime and the Israeli regime are very, very close. They have similar objectives, and information is filtering out of India, but not on the level that we have. There's a lot more intimidation, there's a lot more violence taking place, not compared to Palestine, but violence in a different way. There's a lot of mob attacks on individuals taking place in India in certain parts that are Muslim populated. There are accounts that are coming about, but it's, to my understanding, and my knowledge is limited in this regard, to my understanding, it's not as intense or as frequent as we'd like it to be. We are getting the odd videos coming out and the odd reports coming out if somebody was beaten or there was a mob that attacked somebody. Recently, we saw during Jummah Salah, there was Jummah Salah being made in the streets, and one of the Indian police officers started kicking worshippers while they were in sujood. I think this video went viral as well. So the content that does come out does tend to go viral quickly because of its inflammatory nature.
Mm-hmm. So I like what you say in your statement here that front foot digital activism that is unapologetic and within the boundaries of Quran and Sunnah. Can you elaborate on that, please? Yeah.
Well, that's our focus. Being Muslim, obviously, we work within the parameters of Quran and Sunnah, and I believe that activism, it can't be passive because it defeats the purpose of activism. Malcolm X, who's one of our heroes, his famous quote, "By any means necessary." So, in terms of activism, we've got a strong. The digital community can get very rowdy, and you can get all types of trolls and all types of accounts set up to derail the messages that you're trying to get across. So we are of the view that any activism done online needs to be unapologetic. We don't have anything to apologize about. Palestine's under occupation. It's been under occupation for 75 years. There's been an ongoing genocide. This is the third Nakba taking place, which is in fact worse than the first Nakba. The amount of people killed, we can go into the stats, and those are many. However, we've got morality behind us. And based on that alone, there's nothing to be apologetic about. And given the current climate, especially the last 6 months, and the genocides that has been taking place, I believe firmly that the gloves have come off these pro-Zionist, white supremacist thinking individuals and organizations need to be exposed for what they are. There's quite a few of them. They work behind the scenes. They pull strings. They engineer and play around with events and people and businesses. We need to push back against those, and we need to push back strongly using our technology and using our words.
We say South Africans have this struggle in their DNA, and it always comes through that this activism, and of course we stand out through the ICJ case. But we discuss that a little more after this break.
Salam Media live from our headquarters in South Africa. This is Salam Media, keeping you company this Ramadan.
From samosas and half moons to cook sisters and roti, everything between iftar and sehri makes sunfoil cooking oil an essential part of your Ramadan. Approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a healthy diet, this blessed month, give your family the best with sunfoil, because tradition just tastes better.
This Ramadan, join hands with Muslim hands to make a meaningful difference in the lives of millions worldwide. Your zakah and sadaqah can be the lifeline for those in need. Together we can nourish the hungry in South Africa and across the globe, offer clean water to impoverished communities, empower women with sustainable livelihoods, and bring relief to families grappling with the aftermath of natural disasters and conflict. Be their beacon of hope today. Connect with us at muslimhands.org.za or dial 021 633 6413 to extend your support.
World-class financial services only at Sapphire Global, your financial partner. If you are looking for Islamic, Sharia, and ethical financial products, look no further. Sapphire Global offers a wide range of financial service offerings from short-term to life and investments. A full-service center with all financial requirements under one brand. Our highly skilled and experienced consultants are ready to help protect your financial future. Contact us on 041 001 0184 or visit our website on www.sapphireglobalfs.com. Sapphire Global is an authorized financial services provider.
This Ramadan, join hands with Muslim Hands to make a meaningful difference in the lives of millions worldwide. Your zakah and sadaqah can be the lifeline for those in need. Together we can nourish the hungry in South Africa and across the globe, offer clean water to impoverished communities, empower women with sustainable livelihoods, and bring relief to families grappling with the aftermath of natural disasters and conflict. Be their beacon of hope today. Connect with us at muslimhands.org.za or dial 021 633 6413 to extend your support.
Are you looking for a cross-border road transport company that is committed in achieving high safety standards, who is fast and efficient, and also excel in customer service? Gardi Global specializes in cross-border transport from South Africa to Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Zambia, and Malawi. Gardi Global, situated at 10 Daniel Road, Benrose, Johannesburg. For inquiries, contact our trained staff on 011 614 3108 or email info@gardiglobal.co.za. Safe long haul into Africa is our business. Gardi Global Transport.
Salam Media, your spiritual
Using social media to raise awareness, spark conversation, and initiate activism. Speaking to us about this is Khalid Vawda, who is one of the founding members of the Social Intifada. I was talking about South Africa, South Africans, being activists as we are. Do we stand out in that sense?
I think South Africa's taking of Israel to the ICJ has marked a significant turnaround in the way things are seen globally for a number of reasons. So South Africa obviously sharing a similar history, albeit to a slightly lesser degree, because what we're seeing in Palestine far outstrips apartheid that we saw in South Africa. But the fact that South Africa took the step to take Israel to the ICJ was significant, in that nobody had ever imagined that Israel would be in the dock. So the fact that that actually happened and Israel had to come there and defend themselves, that in itself was significant, because it's then given courage and it's given confidence to other nations to be able to stand up to oppressive states. For far too long, you know, the global South has been subject to whatever the dictates are from the West. Mm-hmm. So this was a significant step, and mm-hmm. the recognition that South Africans are getting around the world for people who are supportive of the freedom of Palestine and Palestinians has been tremendous. There's been so many positive reports coming out of various countries, and you see these accounts on social media. You see the standing of, the respect that South Africa's earned by doing this. So I think that's a hugely positive step. In regards to whether the ICJ ruling and its merits, that's another discussion entirely.
Exactly, and I'm so sorry that we've run out of time, because I just wanted your view on the current ceasefire instruction, if you like. But
sure.
yeah,
I'm
just
glad
very
to
quickly.
offer you. Yeah.
Yes,
so
please do.
The United Nations, it's significant that there's been a ceasefire call because we want a ceasefire, but a temporary 2-week ceasefire. It's taken 6 months for them to come to this, number one. Number two, it's supposed to be for only 2 weeks. Number 3, all the hostages are meant to be returned to Israel. Nothing about the prisoners that are languishing in Israeli prisons. Nothing about what happens after the 2 weeks. So Israel then get to start bombarding Gaza and killing people all over again. What about the aid trucks? All of these question marks. Again, it's in my view, it's something flimsy. Although it's significant in the eyes of the world, I feel it's flimsy because nobody can enforce what the United Nations rules. Israel has been in violation of more than 70 UN resolutions. Not a single one has been enforced. So the order within the United Nations is a very convoluted and twisted order in that the power is still held by a select few and nobody can enforce the actual resolutions and the orders coming out of the UN. So that makes people wonder on the street. A lot of people wonder, what can the UN really do? Can they really effect change?
So this is where exactly what you're saying now is where we have our voices heard and make those opinions known, our views and how strongly we feel about this 2-week ceasefire. So yeah, thank you so much for guiding us on that in this short time. We wish you all the best, and inshallah we'll have to become more conscientious and rise up and fight against injustices, and of course the Palestinian people's human rights being so violated, it's beyond words.
May I just add some advice for the viewers and the listeners regarding social media usage?
Yes, please.
Do not for one moment think that whatever you're doing on social media is not achieving anything. The collective clout of everybody who's on social media, whether they're actively putting out content, creating content, whether you're commenting, liking, resharing posts, all of those together have led to what you're seeing on the streets today. That's led to the protests that you're seeing on the streets in the US, in the UK, in major European cities. That's led to the sustained boycotts that's taking place, and McDonald's and Starbucks having to announce millions of dollars of losses. That's had an effect on some politicians having to backtrack their initial pro-genocidal views now to appease the voter public. So continue being active on social media in whichever capacity you can. I would advise people to become more proactive on social media as opposed to just being passive scrollers. So when you come across pro-Palestinian content, it's critical that you do the following. You like, yes, absolutely. You follow the account and then comment with at least 5 words to be able to help those content, Palestinian content, being pushed up by the algorithms. It's very simple. 5 words, engage the content. Just a like won't do. But if you put in 5 words or more, it's a content, the algorithms pick it up, and then they start pushing those Palestinian content posts further up the feed of others.
Thank you so much for that. I don't think all of us were aware of how effective it can be. Jazakallah khair, Brother Khalid. Enjoy the rest of your Ramadan and the rest of your day. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
All right. When we come back, we speak to Maulana Habib Malanzi. He covers the segment on the Ashara Mubashara.